you got to hit the ground running. Anything that you are passionate about, and try and sit down and think about it. Like I said before, like a lot of people will tell you honestly what you are good at or what you're passionate about, and just open up and listen.
You are now tuning in to the Roughnecks Podcast with your host, Cole Nixon. Much love.
What's up, everybody, and thank you for tuning in to today's episode of the Roughnecks Podcast. Before we dive into today's episode, I want to tell you guys about Desert Fox Golf. I've recently partnered up with them, and they have some awesome products that you definitely want to check out. They have something called the Phone Caddy, which is the best phone holder in golf. It comes in many different colors, and they even have ones with funny sayings on it, like, I work to support my golf habit, and it takes a lot of balls to play like me. If you are like me and like to use a golf app while you're playing, then this is the thing for you, because it holds your phone in a convenient location right on the golf cart. They even have a cigar holder attachment for it. One of my favorite things is their drink aid tumblers. They have these awesome 17-ounce stainless tumblers with a screw-on lid to hold your favorite beverage while playing around a golf. They have different versions from the classic swing aid to nurse aid, hunting aid, fishing aid, and my personal favorite design, the Patriot Aid tumbler. Head over to desertfoxgolf.com and use the promo code Roughnecks for 10% off your order. But let's get into today's guest. What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Roughnecks Podcast, where we grab the bull by the horns and take control of our lives. Joining me today is an old high school teammate, an old friend that I haven't talked to in quite a while, but he's also a podcaster now, and along with the married life and dad life that we were just talking about. But Logan Morrison, welcome to the Roughnecks Podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. I've looked up to you for a while now. Like you just said, I started my podcast, the BFE Podcast. Go check it out on YouTube, all one word. It was an inspiration to see someone that I went to high school with, or someone, I would say like we're acquaintances or definitely friends and stuff like that, but someone I could definitely reach out to and be like, hey, I see you're doing this. Could you maybe like mentor me or kind of point me in the direction of how to start something like this? And I'm not gonna lie, I was just tired of people always like telling me, they're like, dude, you could talk to a tree. I'm just like, damn, man, if I could talk to a tree. It's always been
that way for you.
Dude, oh my goodness, get on a mic in front of a camera and stuff. That's definitely a big learning curve. And I'd love to. I know we're gonna deep dive into that, but yeah, I mean, I feel like it was just time for me to, like you said, just grab the bull by the horns and just jump on it and fucking keep going and keep pushing forward. And I'm proud to say we're almost up to 100 subs. We got like 20, almost 20 episodes. So it's definitely been a huge learning curve. But yeah, I definitely want to deep dive and pick your brain about the whole world of podcasting, equipment, freaking stuff like that.
Yeah, it's weird. People think it's so complex, I think, to start a podcast. And it is, but it isn't. Really, the biggest thing is just go for it. Yeah. You don't have to have all this fancy stuff. Just go for it.
Exactly. The cool thing is now, I mean, on YouTube and stuff, you can almost learn how to do anything. And that's kind of where I started. I've been listening to podcasts for 4 or 5 years now. I travel a lot for work or all over Central Ohio, so sometimes you got them 45 minutes, hour and a half drive, and sometimes the music just gets old.
It does.
So instead, I could take this time and actually learn about the world, learn about something new, maybe I'm interested in, something like that, and that's kind of where I journeyed into podcasting. And then I was like, okay, well, again, my buddy Cole's doing this. Why couldn't I start up something like this? So that's where the BFE podcast came around, and yeah.
I mean, it's like I was kind of the same way with I'm different than you because I couldn't just talk to anybody. Like I wasn't like a big open person that just talked to everybody.
I was going to say you were pretty secluded.
I was super secluded. I was just quieter. Like I didn't go out of my way to talk to people.
Yeah.
I just kind of, if they talk to me, I'd talk to them. But like I don't know. And that's what it's kind of weird for me to say that I started a podcast. Like if you'd have told me in high school, like you're going to have a podcast and you're going to be over 150 episodes, I'd been like, yeah. No.
I know. Honestly, I'm not going to lie, not to be mean, but I would have said the same thing. I'd be like, Cole Nixon?
Yeah.
Now, someone like maybe Dan Stone Rock.
Yes, that can just talk.
Yeah, just someone that's just like, wow, that dude doesn't shut the fuck up. Like, I get that. But yeah, but again, I feel like yours is more like all mental. Like, you're just getting in there. You're like, you know what? I do have a lot to say. Like, I did like go back and do a little research on the Roughnecks podcast and stuff. And I mean, of course, I'm a subscriber, follow along on this journey. And it's something that's freaking cool that, like you just said, anyone can start. Pretty low maintenance. The entry point is actually pretty low. You have a couple $100. Maybe you worked an extra shift, or maybe you got a nice tip, or maybe you went and mowed your freaking grandparents' lawn or something like that, and they gave you a little extra cheddar. You can do a little slight research, and yeah, you could set up your own little mini podcast, and you don't have to do. I know you're pretty much only audio.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm only video.
Yeah.
Video and audio.
So it's two different things, but I mean, it's the same concept, but like completely two different styles of doing it.
And it's cool. And like, I guess we kind of jump into it because I freaking wanted to ask you, like, in my personal opinion, like, when I am listening to a podcast or, I guess indulging in a podcast, I've already visually seen these people before. So in my mind, I'm like, okay, I'm listening to Joe Rogan. I know what Joe Rogan looks like. I know a lot of his facial expressions, and a lot of the guys he's having on, I've probably seen. I know Spotify has him on video as well.
Yes.
So in my mind, when I was starting the BFE podcast, I was like, I definitely want to do a visual because I want people to see me. They want to see, like, or I think people want to see like my reaction or how I'm actually, or my mannerisms and stuff like that. So that's kind of why I went the more video route. But I have to jump into the audio as well because I'm not going to lie, we're strictly only on YouTube. Of course, we have all like on all socials like Snapchat, Instagram, TikTok. TikTok's huge.
Yes, I don't not utilize it as much as I should.
I've, and I'm not gonna lie, like I'm trying to turn this into an actual business. I would say, I'm actually bringing on, and I have a couple guys buying into the BFE podcast.
Hell yeah!
So we're expanding the family. So shout out to the boys, Dan the man. He's our co-host on the BFE podcast. Our podcast normally runs 3 people at a time, and typically we will do one-on-ones, and that's typically where I'll just sit in with a guest of some sort. But I noticed, like, for me, I was 10 episodes in, and I'm like, you know, something is missing, and it was just someone that you could bounce ideas off of, someone that like would bust your balls, someone to give you a hard time, give you more input on the show. So bringing Dan the man on was a great opportunity for me, and shout out to him, and we're gonna see where we can take this thing. But not only Daniel, I also signed Spencer Wolf. It's Wolfie. He's joining the BFE Boys. So we're kind of making a little family and kind of growing the BFE podcast to what I'm hoping one day it'll be. Not only are we bringing more people on, we're getting ready to like dabble into the merch. If you want to, you could just get yourself some BFE gear. I think we're going to be dropping sweatshirts and stickers and doing giveaways and stuff like that April 15th.
April 15th. Let me check real quick because that might actually be when this episode is dropping.
Oh, really? That'd be pretty weird.
Well, what is April 15th? Like what day? Do you know?
I want to say it's a Saturday.
Then it's not that day. So
okay.
Your episode, your episode should come out the Monday following.
Then that's perfect. Yeah, give a little promo. Yeah, that'd be sweet. I don't know. Yeah, we definitely. I love designing. If you guys do go check out the channel and stuff, you guys will see like I pretty much have like a detached garage from the house, and I'm not gonna lie, I remodel homes for a living, and I love building. And I went out there, and the room that you'll see in the video was technically just supposed to be a poker room. Like I legit was just gonna have the boys over. I just had a little girl. Shout out baby P. She's. I mean, when you have a baby or something like that, you kind of have to be there for the family. You gotta make sure you're there to change the diapers, that kind of stuff. But in the back of my mind, I'm like, I still want to be able to hang out with the boys and stuff. So my loft, it was like a loft, an empty loft, and like I said, I like to build, so I just turned it into like a man cave, bar, freaking dartboard. You got speakers out there, built my own table, and like I said, I love playing poker. I love to gamble and stuff. So I'd have the boys over and play. And then I'm like, okay, I'm like $2,500, $3,000 into the hole into this thing, which I'm not gonna lie, it's either go big or go home kind of, but in the back of my mind, I'm like, the wheels start turning. I'm like, okay, I'm the type of person, if I'm investing this type of money, I'd like to see if I can do more with this space instead of just a poker room. So that's also the kind of kick in the ass I needed to start the BFU podcast and stuff. And it's crazy to see where it started to what it is. And I know it's like a minuscule thing, only 20 episodes in, but I mean, even my logos and stuff have changed.
Yep.
Like dude, I was on the couch, like on my laptop, and then eventually I upgraded to a MacBook and stuff, and I'm over here drawing like with my finger, like a cowboy looking dude. And I'm not gonna lie, ever since then, like it just progressed and gotten bigger and better. And I mean, I even stickered my freaking truck and stuff.
I saw that, yeah.
Yeah, it's slowly but surely coming along, and bringing on a couple extra guys. Really, you can delegate out a lot of the work, because like you were saying, like the TikTok and stuff, you really have to stick to it to hit that algorithm and stuff. And this is coming from a guy that didn't fucking know anything about like social media, like, or tech wise. Like, I could build you a damn house, but when it comes to like, I'm typing with my freaking fingers, looking like a freaking like ting 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 ting. Like, oh man, I'm using my 2 index fingers. But I mean, those are just hurdles you just got to overcome.
Mhm.
But bringing on a couple extra guys, you can delegate out a decent bit of the work. So I run the TikTok page, YouTube page, and then the Instagram page. Dan the Man runs the Facebook page and the Twitter page, and then Spencer runs the Snapchat, and he also does a lot of the TikTok and collaborating with him. But not only that, each one of those guys are now going to start coming on and doing their own segments
Awesome.
with kind of without me sometimes, or with me. Dan the Man's going to start a thing called Keg Stand Sports, and he's just going to be doing sports, because I feel like on the BFE podcast, it's more just shooting the shit, cracking a couple bush lights. You're sitting around just talking, and we also needed to add some segments. So we need a little sports here and there, because you want to hit a wide range of an audience, I feel like. And then not only that, Spence is going to come on, and he's more like TikTok, going live, stuff like that. But not only that, he actually started out with like hunting and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So he's going to come on, do a hunting segment, and kind of talk with that, bring people on in the hunting world. And same with Daniel. He's more just going to be sports and stuff. Isn't that kind of like what the Roughnecks podcast was about in the beginning, of sports?
Well, yes. I mean, essentially, so me and my college roommate, Texan Teddy, back my junior year of college, we started a podcast. I already had a blog that I was doing and stuff, but I was doing that, and it was called Fan Speak Sports, and we started a podcast, and it was just about football, really.
Yeah.
It was terrible, absolutely terrible. It was one of the worst podcasts I think I've ever heard in my entire life. But we did like 13 episodes. Then COVID hit.
Pretty good. I feel like anything over 10, and you're like,
yeah, and these were like
some
hour
theme.
and a half long episodes that we sat there and talked about everything that happened in college football that week and what is to come the next week.
Yeah.
But then COVID hit, sports got shut down. We kind of were like, screw this. Like, we did a couple episodes after the fact, but we were like, you know what? We're just going to call it quits with this, because it wasn't getting much traction anyway.
Yeah, kind of dissolve it.
And then my senior year, he had graduated, but he was still living in Delaware, Ohio. And I was hanging out with him at his house. And I was like, you want to start another podcast? Like, I was just kind of screwing around. He was like, let's do it. And I'm like, well, what are we going to call it? And he's like, he's from Texas. He wanted to be a roughneck oil guy when he was going to go out of high school. He's like, what about the Roughnecks? And I was like, that'll work. We had no idea what we were like. Let's just not make it a topic of what it is, though.
Yeah.
So that way we leave ourselves open to whatever we want to turn it into. And then we started it, and I recorded my first like 12 episodes with just my laptop. I did not have any microphones. I didn't have anything.
Oh, really?
I just recorded with my laptop. If you go back and listen to like the first and second episode, you can really hear like how bad the audio quality is. But
you were able to, like, it didn't matter. That was like a hurdle you had to jump over, and I mean, you now look at the thing. You know what I mean? Like,
now I have enough.
You got flags. You got a sweet logo. Like, it's just, I feel like the barrier of entry is very low, but it's also, you got to have those bumps and bruises learning how to do something to get it to where it is today.
Oh,
And I feel like,
exactly.
yeah, you should be proud of yourself, man. This is sweet. I appreciate you so much for having me on. But yeah, it's a wild world in the podcast world, I feel like.
Yeah, because then he ended up actually stepping away from the podcast because he's a coach at Ohio Wesleyan, got too busy with that
Okay.
and didn't have because we were bringing on guests and he didn't have the time to always match up. And I was trying to balance my class schedule with my football schedule and his coaching schedule and trying to and then whoever our guest was trying to merge all those. And finally he was like, "Why don't you just take off with it?" And I was like, he also, I don't know if technically was allowed to do it because this was before NIL and everything. And he was a coach and I was a player. So it was, even though we were best friends and still are to this day, but he was like, "I don't even know if I'm technically allowed to do this." So he stepped away. I went on with it forever, just bringing guests on every single week. I did some solo episodes.
Okay. Solo episodes.
I hate them. Why do you think I have Reno on now?
Dude, okay. I also was under the realization that single podcasts are so hard to do. There's only a couple guys in the world that I feel like you could actually sit down and listen to them rant. One, Theo Vaughn. Two, Bill Burr. Those two guys going on stuff. Joey Diaz, that dude. And then Tim Dillon. Those guys are the only ones where I can be like, wow, this is actually, I could sit here and listen to this dude talk all the time. I mean, if you got Joe Rogan, the GOAT of podcasting, and he doesn't do solos.
I'm sure he even could. He could, but it wouldn't be.
It wouldn't be.
It wouldn't be the same.
I mean, he could probably come on and give you some inspirational stuff, but he ain't going for 3 hours by himself.
No.
I mean, I've shot a couple 3-hour-long podcasts, and that was me trying to wrap it up a couple times. But sometimes when you got that push lights are flowing, you can just keep on going.
That's the hard part. Is me, Scott, and Dante had a 3-hour-long drinking episode.
Yeah,
and that's exactly what happened. Scott was practically falling asleep by the end of it. Me and Dante were still talking, but then it'd be me and Dante would be talking, and then all of a sudden Scott would kind of chime in, and the conversation just never ends.
Yeah,
and it's so hard just to be like, well, yeah, all right, we're done.
Yeah, you don't want to wrap. It's hard to find an ending spot, and I know I've tried to get a little better on this, and I'll even split episodes into 2 parts now. And it's also, I'm not gonna lie, dude, trying to move files around when they're 3 hours long, dude. Good luck. You
get a flash drive,
dude. I mean,
I'm telling you, get a flash drive because I have a 128 gig flash drive. It's my second one. As soon as I'm done recording, I downloaded it and it gets put right on that flash drive.
Yeah.
Then I don't have to worry about it just randomly disappearing too. Yeah. But so that way I have it there and it doesn't take up all my computer space.
So with me doing the video and stuff, I'm not gonna lie, I film the videos you guys see with the BFE podcast on my phone. Did I go out and buy the most expensive iPhone that they had? The 14 Pro Max? Yeah, because the guys that were in my life that have been doing video for a while, they were like, iPhones nowadays, you don't need a big fancy camera. I'm not gonna lie, I definitely would like to do GoPros because, like I said, we're only crawling with the BFE podcast. Where we're gonna take this thing.
Real quick, going off of that though, because it's funny. My boss just had a meeting today with someone, and she's like, I was looking at all your guys' pictures of the jobs, and you guys must have a really nice camera. And he goes,
yeah,
nope,
exactly.
It is my phone.
Dude, the phones nowadays are just insane. That Pro Max, it's got those whatever. And again, this is me not being tech savvy. I'm pretty sure someone
I don't know,
light us up. But yeah, you got them 3 cameras and little things in the back, and I mean, it films in 4K. It's dude, what else do you need? So I got that I'll film pretty much the whole episode on, and then I used to have another laptop filming the audio so I can see the bars going to make sure everything's running smooth, but I haven't deleted that. I'm I don't need that.
Yeah.
Now I have I'm able to pull stuff up. If you notice gradually from the start where we were, the screen would go black behind me and you're just oh my god, this is a shit show. But eventually you do start getting the rhythm, and eventually you start getting a little more tech savvy, and now I'm able to pull things up. We can watch videos. I have access to the internet out there. It's going to get a little better. And not only the podcast, we're also going to be going, I got mini mics. I'm going to be going downtown. I think we're going to get a couple GoPros and stuff. and start filming stuff on the golf course. Also, yeah, we're gonna be going downtown to campus and asking questions. Like a lot of times, I'll try and do some like TikTok trends. One of the big things that we do on the BFE podcast is like rate yourself. That was pretty big. So what I'll do is I'll get a couple of my buddies come on, and then we'll have a girl call in that typically does know us or has seen us before, interacted with us, and they'll go around and just give the rate. And it's low key hilarious when a guy comes on. He's like, "Bro, yeah, I'm a solid like fucking 10." And this girl just roasts this dude. And I'm not gonna lie, like I'm just sitting back. I'm just like, oh my god. But I feel like it is nice to get humbled and honest. Like it is kind of cool. At least I'm the type of guy like that. Like I'll be like, man, I'm looking like a rectangle today. I'm like 6.5. Yeah, so that's one of the segments we do on the podcast. But yeah, you just started a segment or whatever with I saw like Reno. Yeah, shout out Reno.
Reno,
That's
yeah,
that guy forever. But
yeah, he stopped by the one day, and I was like, because first I did an episode with him, and he was
surprised he fit down the basement.
he had to duck big time when he came around the corner and stuff. But yeah, he kept posting on his Instagram and stuff like these Reno's rants, and I think we talked about it on his original episode that he came on. And finally, like one night I reached, because I was getting tired of doing my Fast Fridays, which were like the solo episodes with myself. Because I'm not good at solo episodes.
Dude,
they're so hard.
Bro, they are so hard. Like you're just sitting there and
you'll write a script and you'll get through the script and you're like,
you'll get through the script in 5 minutes.
5 minutes has gone by.
This is going to be a clip.
Yes.
It's going to be no video or no podcast.
But so I reached out to him, was like, hey man, you should start a podcast. And he's like, me and Brittany have actually been throwing around the idea. Like a lot of people have told me that. And I was like, I got a better idea. And I just threw it at him. I was like, why don't you come take over like the Friday segments? It's not even every Friday. It's just most Fridays. It's probably 3 episodes a month I think he has to make. Yeah. I was like, make them 10 to 20 minutes long. Like that's all you got to do.
Yeah, exactly.
And he was like,
well, and then you're delegating out some of your work and stuff, which is nice. Like,
and I told him, I was like, I'll edit it for you. I'll do all the editing.
Yeah, same. And I told the guys that are like getting ready to put out their own segments and stuff coming on the podcast, like I'll have final edit, like or final say what puts out on the channel and stuff like that. But I mean, I don't see anywhere where like you even said like coming on, you're like, hey man, you can cuss, you can kind of say these things, but it is nice to have like, oh man, that is a little spicy or little.
There's been things that I've definitely cut out, and like there's even been times where like, wait, will you cut that out? And they're like,
dude, I think I have 19 videos out, and some of them are just like clip art or clips like joined together and stuff like that. But I probably have at least 15 podcasts out. And I've filmed like 18 to 19 podcasts. So I have like 4 in the archives that'll probably never come out. And that's just me like having that creative thing where it's like, hey, I don't know if this is flowing as well as I would like it to be. And as the host and stuff like that, that falls back on you. Like you didn't direct it as well or something like that. So it's no offense to like any of those people that came on and that happens. But sometimes that does happen. Like, or shout out Jordan. We had a 2-hour podcast and I cut out like 45 minutes because I'm not gonna lie, we were going a little too hard in the paint. I'm like, dang. But it was also kind of like a therapy session. I'm not gonna lie, like sitting down with your boys, like I said, we haven't seen each other in a long time. It feels good to catch up with you. And also like with her, like some of the friends that I haven't seen in a long time, where I'm like, hey, like it is nice to just sit down and talk. And then sometimes we ended up like tearing up a little bit, like because we both got kids, we both are kind of in our own little worlds and stuff like that. But it was nice getting to catch up with them. But you'd be surprised what podcasting can come from it, or like what it comes from, or
where it leads to.
Yeah, I guess where it leads to.
Yeah, like that's why I like doing the in-person ones, especially because like I've had people that I've never met, which maybe isn't safe, but I've done my vetting. Like I know who they are and stuff like that.
Especially like house and stuff like that. You're like, man, do I even know you?
Yeah,
but if it's good content, it's good content.
Exactly, and but the in-person episodes are usually better conversation.
Yeah, well, it's also because I know you like do the scripts and stuff like that, but the best podcast that I shoot is you have those 10 topics like to your right. And the only reason I even write anything down is because dead air or
Well,
you
there
run
comes
into
a spot where you need something like
that, or you
like
need to
that.
move it along.
Yeah.
Like, let's spice it up. Or maybe you're getting too in depth with this person that
Yeah.
you've known for a long time, where it's like, okay, hey, what's your favorite jelly? Are you a strawberry guy or are you a
Mhm.
grape guy?
Yeah.
Like, let people get to know you. Let people like be like, oh wow, I fuck with that guy. Like, I could sit down and have a beer with that guy or
Mhm.
something like that. But yeah, those topics, the podcasts that I know that run the smoothest or the best are the ones that I always want to party after, where I'm like,
Yep.
dude, let's go. Like, I'm on cloud nine right now. And then,
See, I listen to like 12 different styles of podcast myself.
what do you mean?
So like I listen to a lot of like Jocko, military
Okay.
style
Yeah.
podcast, Andy Stump, Cleared Hot, listen to those. I also listen to Granger Smith podcast, which gets deep sometimes because he answers questions from the fans. Like
Yeah.
they email him in and that's all he does.
Yeah.
But he gets probably like 100 emails a day. I've tried my Q&A Fridays and I don't get the emails.
Yeah.
But he does that and they get very deep. They'll ask like dark questions to like,
Well, I mean,
and he just gives
yeah.
his response to him.
well,
And
the thing that I've noticed is the people that do the best, like in society nowadays, are the people that are the realists.
Mhm.
Like the people that aren't like hiding behind like a big curtain where it's like, yeah, you don't really know me. I'm just putting on a personality for you guys.
that's why like a lot of people hate Corey Gregory, but he is the real, like one of the most real people that you are. Like what you see is what you
Mhm.
get. He doesn't hide who he is.
And it's like you're either gonna like me or not,
Yeah.
and you just either gotta move on with it or let it like crush you inside.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, you're only on this life or this rock for let's say 100 years
Yeah.
if you make that.
Yeah.
Like if you stay in shape, you're taking care of your body, you're taking them 9 vitamins in the morning, like you're trying to beat through society because I'm not gonna lie, I'm being a dad now and having my own family and houses and stuff like that. The pressure that you're under to make sure, hey, this family doesn't sink,
Yeah.
it's a lot. So honestly, going through life like not being yourself and stuff like that is like, dude, you have such little time.
Yeah.
on
Like
this planet.
what's the point of even doing it at that point? And like that's one of the things because I got a question I'll ask you later. But like you look at and a lot of people answer it is with the answering the 16-year-old self question. And a lot of them say things, and it's like when we're in high school, we don't listen to all that. We don't think about beyond high school.
So I've come to, I guess, a realization. You don't actually start thinking about the real world till you start paying bills. And dude, time does not start speeding up till you start paying bills.
It's true.
Dude, you're in high school. You're like, oh my god, dude, I got math class tomorrow. That
I got a
study
quiz.
for this. Yeah, I gotta go to gym class, and I got football, and then I got to go to my job. But then you're just like, it feels like you're just grinding so hard and so much trying to get through elementary, then middle school, then high school. And then you finally get into the real world and you're like, oh, I'm an adult. And then it's like, hey, guess what? We're going to throw 100 more pounds on you. Try and deal with this now.
Mhm.
Like, oh my God.
Yeah, dude, like when I went to, going through high school, like we think our problems are bad. Then I got into college and was like, man, this sucks.
Yeah, dude,
and then I got out of college and was like, this really sucks. But then I moved in with her and everything and more bills and just
Yeah.
real life. And it was like, this absolutely
Yeah.
sucks. Why did I look forward to this? There is a lot to look
I
forward
was
to.
going to say, to be fair, we don't want to shit on it too well.
Yes.
Because having your own stuff, making your own way and grinding is the best feeling in the world. I
Mhm.
can't tell you, like, the first time I've already bought and sold my first house, and then I moved in with my wife, and I'm fixing up her house because like I said, I remodel homes for a
Yeah.
living, and then we're gonna sell that and buy our forever home. So I the best feeling in the world is pulling into a house that you bought, paid for, and just coming home every day to that spot. It's like you grinded so hard to get where you are in life, and even crazier is like I did it at low-key kind of a young age,
Mhm.
and I tell it to some people, and they're like, "Well, that's really impressive." But in my mind, I'm like, "There's still so much more I want to
Oh,
do.
yeah.
Like this is just a stepping stone." And I shout out the tiny home. I don't know if you ever did see it or
Yeah,
dude.
yes, I
it
did.
was cool. Shout out that place. A woman bought it from Florida, sight unseen, just from the pictures,
Damn.
which was super cool. It was over in Pickerington. Very grateful to be in that spot. And I always do say on my podcast, like, shoot your shot. You only live once. But there's also so many people that have helped me
Mhm.
get to the point in life that I am. So it's not like, yeah, I did this all by myself. to a certain extent, but there was also those people that were those mentors, that were those people that kind of guided you in the right way, and you can take it or leave it, because there's a lot of people in your life that'll give you some advice and you're like, I ain't taking your advice. But really,
then still do it now, but then later in life, sometimes you're like,
man, that guy was right. It's like maybe those 35-year-olds or 40-year-olds that tried to sit you down and tell you what life is really about, you're just like, man, you don't know anything. And
well, it's like really one of those things that I look at too is like I used to get jealous of people that were in good situations or had all this stuff and like be like, whatever, like they don't know what they're talking about. But now, like when those people are talking to me, I'm like, I'm listening because
100%.
You're doing something right. And you know what? Maybe I won't take everything from you because the way somebody does something doesn't mean it's going to work for me exactly. Yeah. But I'm going to listen to you and listen to the things you have to say.
Oh, 100%. And I feel like that's just being respectful, one. Yes. And then two, it's like, you might not need everything that they're saying, but there's got to be a couple nuggets in there that you're like, yeah, that kind of resonated with me there or hit home. And yeah, like I was saying, like there's been multiple people in my life where, yeah, I did buy a house at 20. And the only reason I did that is because I did move out at 18. I rented an apartment, and then I go talk to my construction buddies, and they're like, dude, you're an idiot. And I'm like, what do you mean? I'm doing this on my own. They're like, no, buddy, that's cool. But you're also lining another dude's pocket with your money, because
when really that payment you could go put on a
exactly.
On a house.
Yeah, you could go put that on a house. And I feel terrible for like our generation or anything trying to buy a house if you didn't already have one, because man, it is
especially like it just
stupid expensive.
It's crazy because I mean I got lucky she already had her house and then I moved in with her, but like when I started looking before I met her, I was just like I literally can't afford any of it. And I also have student loans that does not help my case, but I have that, so then like I'm like I really can't afford any of this.
So Cam Johnny just came on the podcast. He actually bought that. He owns his own pizza place, which is super cool. Go check it out. Stone Rose Pizza up in Utica. But he was telling us about that, and because his girl went to college just like you. And if I had to say anything to the people that went to college, did I go to college? No. I hit the ground running right out of high school. Like I went into just trades and never looked back. But for the people that went to college, like you were saying, don't get jealous of the people that didn't go to college, because they low-key did have a head start. Yeah. Like those people didn't go to college. They don't have that student debt. Like they were able to do probably a couple things that you haven't. But I'm not going to lie, the people that did go to college are probably going to jump ahead of those people. And it's just because they invested in themselves instead of like what they were probably doing, what I was doing like right out of high school and stuff like that. So,
and see, I think there's like college isn't for everybody, but like the trades aren't for everybody either. So like that's the thing is like I went to college, but I work a blue collar job.
Yeah,
like, I'm outside working on equipment and putting in pools every day. So like, but now I'm starting to transition into using my degree with the job I have at the same time. So it's changing, but like I always look at like I wish I'd have done college, maybe wouldn't have gone to college, but then again I'm like, would I even be where I am today? Like I would have never started this podcast had I not gone to college, because that was kind of where the inspiration came from a lot. Is I had to make a couple podcast episodes for a couple marketing classes, and then like I was like, man, I kind of like this. Like I don't know why I like being behind a microphone and just talking, and that's where the inspiration. So I'm like, I don't know where and I don't even know if I'd have had this job that I have today if it wasn't for me going to college.
What did you do in college? Like, what did you go for?
I went for business marketing.
Okay, so I'm not gonna lie, I love like behind the scenes, like doing all these like advertising and edits and stuff like that. That's what's super cool to me,
and that's what I'm working into in my job right now too. And like that's the thing is like I think he's also seen like he can market his podcast. Like I don't do it as well as I should.
Yeah,
but like it's like you've kind of delegating it, but like I don't really necessarily. It's hard to sometimes let go of that too. Like here's the Instagram account, you post things, but then like they'll post something and I might be like, no, I don't like that.
Doesn't see, and that's where you got to surround yourself with guys which because you do kind of have to give them a little creativeness where it's like, okay, just post what I'm posting, blast it out there. Which I will have them do that. Like, say I'm making a TikTok, I'm like, oh, hey guys, like here's an extra video. But I also do give them that creative freedom. Like Dan the Man just he took over the Twitter and stuff like that. He tweeted out the other day. He was like, listen, if you don't fuck with Cowboy Cerrone, I don't fuck with you. And I'm like, dude, honestly, preach, brother, because Cowboy Cerrone's a bad mother trucker.
Yes.
He's a beast, but it is nice delegating out, but it is hard, like you said, to get rid of that freedom and stuff.
Because at the end of the day, like, it's our image. Like, we're the ones that started this. This is really our thing. We're like the boss in a way.
And you got to be proud. Like, you're proud of your logo. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Like I said, bringing it kind of full circle. That me drawing out that little cowboy and stuff, and now I have actually like bought my own logo and stuff like that, and it's just something you can get behind, like the image, the likeness, and stuff like that, and it's cool. But then again, like, kind of playing off of that, like tattoos and stuff. I noticed, like, when I love tattoos. I'm covered in them, but when I go to my tattoo artist and stuff, she'd always ask for like a little. Let me put my own tweak on it. Let me put my own creativeness on it, and it made the best product. So that's where, like, I like to delegate out, and I'm like, hey, to a certain extent, yeah, you can have your own creative freedom, but at the end of the day, if it's going on like the actual channel and stuff like that, that's where you will step in. But social media and stuff like that, whatever you could put out is probably going to be okay to a certain point. But I get what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, I've started. And it's nice, too, because like you talked about, having somebody to bounce ideas off of. Because that's Dante's now the co-host for the drinking episodes, and then also Reno. So, like, I just sent them a big text the other day of, like, all the things that I kind of have in the background, like behind the scenes of things that I'm doing that are about to come up. And I was just kind of like, what do you guys think of this? What do you guys think of this? What do you guys think of this? And they, they both shot me. And I set them separately so that way, too, like, you're not.
Yeah, you should have a group chat of those people, and then you should have individual. Because
I want them to. I want your thoughts, like your true thoughts.
So, I don't know. The way I think of it is, like, with me bringing on a couple BFE boys and stuff. I'm not gonna lie. I told you, like, I think before jumping on this, like, they bought into the BFE podcast, and signing them. So the only reason I think that is probably maybe something you might think about is because the way I kind of drew it up is like, hey, $500 each of you, you'll own 10% of it. And in my mind, I'm like, $500, again, if you go work a couple shifts somewhere, you could probably come up with that money. And it's also something where it's like, I invested a little piece of money into it. So I'm actually going to take this serious. I'm actually going to want to see this thing succeed. So one, you can definitely get your money back that you invested in. But two, also, you put out good products you're actually passionate about, either the BFE podcast or Kegstand Sports or Wolfie's World is what he's going to be doing and stuff. And yeah, you create a logo that you can get behind your likeness. You actually are proud of it. You start getting into the merch and stuff like that. And that's where, like, giving away like a small piece of whatever you're building isn't a terrible idea, where you're still full owner, kind of, like, you still have the final say, but you also give that person, whoever you're bringing on or whoever you're wanting to go into business with, because I feel like these guys are you're kind of going into business with them a little bit, because again, like we were just talking about, like, they put something out that doesn't represent the Roughnecks how you like, it does affect you a certain way. So I don't know, that's maybe something you could kind of talk to the guys about or something. But again, low-key, I'm the rookie here. You're the vet, so I might just be talking out my ass.
I'm more of what I like to call a hobby podcaster almost.
Yeah.
So, like, I do consistent episodes, which I will say that, going off of that real quick, consistency is one of the biggest things with a podcast.
Oh, yeah.
Staying consistent with your episodes. And that's what, like, I'll stress, like, because I've had, a couple week spans from time to time where life got crazy and, like, I just didn't get anything out. But now I'm, like, 3 weeks ahead.
Oh, really?
Maybe like 2 weeks ahead, probably. But I try to keep it. Now I'm trying to keep it that way. So that way, and like, I'll edit those and upload them, or so they're in the queue or scheduled essentially, and they'll drop at the right time. So that way, I don't have to like worry about it. And if maybe the one before, like, I didn't get it recorded, like, because I have one that I'm recording tomorrow that's actually coming out next week. But if I don't get that one, I already have one.
I can just move ahead. I'm kind of the same way. So I got the St. Patty's Day episode dropping this coming Monday. So like I said, if you guys want to follow along, like, subscribe to the BFE podcast, I'd really appreciate the support. But yeah, we got that one coming out, and then we got Kayla and Cam's episode that I still got to edit and stuff. And then, yeah, I try and stick to a schedule. Every Monday seems like the best because it's like you're just going into work, like you're
Starting a
doing
new
this.
week.
But I'm not going to lie, like with me bringing these other guys and stuff on, we should be able to pump out even more content, which is what you strive to do, I guess, especially with trying, like you were saying, hitting those algorithms and stuff like that. That's where I was, like, all my TikToks, I would just cram them into one thing, and then I pop that episode out. And it's just like a surprise episode, like, hey, I edited this Wednesday. I'm going to upload it to the channel.
Yeah.
And it's just so people are like, wow, the BFE podcast always keeps popping up. Like, maybe I will go check them out.
Yeah, I mean, and it's like with marketing, that's one of the things we learned in school with marketing was, you know, like it takes people like 3 or 4 times before they actually go.
Yeah.
Like if you might see an ad 3 or 4 times on your Facebook, but like that 3rd or 4th time, you're like, you know what? I've seen this a bunch of times. I'm going to click on it.
Yeah.
And it's no different than like us posting to social media and stuff. You know, people might see it and then they're like, yeah, whatever. Then like that 3rd or 4th time, they're like, they maybe not go listen to an episode, but maybe they check out,
or like, or maybe they're like, hey, listen, I might not be interested in this, but I still want to support you and do this or that.
That's one of the biggest things I've found, especially like with friends and family, that you'll find they may not listen to every episode. They'll listen from some episodes from time to time, but their big thing, like you'll see them like your pictures every time you post it and just that kind of stuff. The interaction's still there because there's a lot people want to support what you're doing.
100%. And that's where like you built those friendships or you build like the love and stuff like that between that person where they're like, hey, this guy's journeying out, stepping out of the comfort zone because again, it might be a low barrier of entry to get into this thing, but stepping out of your comfort zone to start something is very difficult and hard.
Well, and with the podcast, you're putting yourself out there to the entire world. Like
and it's going to live there.
Yes.
It's going to live there.
It's never going to disappear.
Yeah.
Like, you might delete them. Like, I can still go find fan speak stuff.
Yeah.
I was looking the other day, and I was like, I wonder if that's... Yep, it's still out there. I kind of wish it wasn't, but it is.
Well, and I feel like, like I said, even on my Instagram for the BFE podcast, the first logo I made still down in the corner, and I'm not gonna lie, I'll scroll down and I'll be like, dude, that's freaking cool.
Yeah.
Because then you like scroll up and you're like, okay,
you can see the growth.
The progression and stuff. So that's super cool. I don't think I'll ever be like, I'm not gonna lie now. I'm 20 episodes deep or whatever. I might like when I hit 100, I'm like, oh my god, did you see what we were doing? 20, like you're. Just
I went back and listened to our first episode one time, and I was like,
what were we thinking?
I like because the guy Teddy who I recorded it with, me and him did another episode like 130 something or something like that, and we recorded and we were talking about it like our first episode was over 2 years ago and stuff, and he was like, wait, that's still out there, and I was like. Yep, it's still out there. And he's like, we should probably delete that. And I was like, it's crazy like how bad it was. Because I guess it wasn't terrible. It was way better in our first podcast. But like it just wasn't like the growth that you can tell from that first episode to you hear it from 1 to 10. But I feel like when you really get over kind of like you really kind of start to see a lot of change is after 100.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and that's one of the things, I think Andy Frisella talked about it on one of his podcasts, and it was like, he won't even consider a podcast if it doesn't have 100 episodes.
Oh, okay.
And like, because that, if you get to, which I think 100 may be a bit steep, because like, you see a big jump, I think at like 50.
I would say you'd see a first jump, like maybe it's a small jump, but after 10 episodes. 10 episodes, you're in. Because those first couple ones, you really are. You're like, okay, dead air. Or, okay, I need more topics. Or, okay, I am starting to figure out how to guide a conversation. Or, I can read a person a little better now where maybe, hey, that's too serious. Or we need to liven things up. Or maybe that's a little too sad.
Yeah.
Like, you start picking up on those mannerisms.
That's why I have this notepad, too. Because one of the things I learned, and you have a notepad when you record, too. I've learned because, like, I would interrupt or I would get to the point where they finally get done. I don't want to say finally, but they get done answering the question. And then all of a sudden I'd be like, I had 3 ideas throughout that whole thing and I can't remember. So now I'm like, I'll be sitting there and like people will be talking and I'll just write it down. And it's usually like all over the page because I'm still trying to look at them or look at the camera still. But I'm I just write it down because then I can go back to it. And like 2 of them, maybe they don't fit with where he finished. So I'm like, all right, I'm done with that. But
you might have that one golden nugget where it's like that might lead you into a different. And that happens all the time. Like I was briefly saying before, like I will have those 10 topics. And a lot of times I'll hit those things without even looking at them,
Mhm.
and that's how you know it's a good podcast. It's driving very well. But the best ones I found is like after I'm like, all right, we're going partying or we're doing something, and it's just because you know it was a good episode, you had a lot of fun, and hopefully that resonates in the viewer where they're seeing it
Mhm.
and hopefully can relate to it. A lot of times people will be like, hey, you're getting a little too personal or everyone, but the way I think about it is like, hey, you might hear something that it might be personal that might actually relate to you.
Yeah.
So I'm still okay with like getting a little personal with like my friends and stuff. And I do here soon. I will be stepping out. Like we are gonna bring on. I'm hoping to get with this guy that's like trying to get into the UFC and stuff. Like
Mhm.
I'm gonna start reaching out, but like you said, I'm still crawling. I'm not even 20 episodes in. You said 100. You do want to like freaking keep it a little closed doored about the people coming in, but also being able to drive that podcast to get to that 100th episode.
Yeah.
I'd love to know how or what your thoughts are on how you even got to 150 episodes. Like, what are the tips and tricks behind doing something like that?
Consistency, and I mean the big thing is you're gonna go through spells where it's not necessarily fun, but like just keep going because like even today I got home from work and it was like, man, I gotta record. But as soon as I
See-
start recording, I'm like, this is exactly why I do.
Love it. I can't believe you record when you do. Like we're recording this Monday 7 p.m. Like that's I can't do that. Like I record Fridays or Saturdays because I know again mine's kind of more like a drinking or
Yeah.
like we're kind of it's
That's-
more like
yeah.
a party like and you're
Like all
just
my drinking
invited.
episodes are always on Friday or Saturday.
Yeah. But like even I shoot at 5:30 because I
Mhm.
know like hey it could be an hour or it could be 3
Yeah.
hours. And again, it kind of hits the dad mode and stuff like, okay, I might have to go help with the baby or I
Yeah.
might have to do this. So I try and get them on around 5:30, 6, and then a lot of times we will be wrapping up around 8,
Mhm.
typical. But
So yeah, the only reason I actually switched to 7 is I will used to do earlier, but in the summertime with work, there's
Yeah.
times because we'll work till 7, 8 o'clock some nights.
ooh,
So that's where I'd struggle is like I'd have to cancel them a bunch, but then I also just do the week a lot of times because what I was doing was recording the week before and then editing that weekend, posting it on Monday.
Yeah.
Recording that week, and so I was just doing that consistent
Yeah.
cycle. Now I don't know. I like the week because again, I mean it doesn't matter. I like to have my weekends essentially to
Okay.
do whatever I want to do
Mhm.
or edit and spend time
Yeah.
working on it. I don't know. I've recorded on Fridays. I've recorded every day of
Yeah,
the week
every day.
essentially. Even Sundays, and I do a lot of virtual ones too. So
Okay.
it kind of just depends on my go-to for some reason is Thursdays or
Yeah.
my like go-to days that I record. But most of the time it's Thursday. But I don't know. I just started doing a week just because.
I'm not gonna lie. So typically the only time, like if I'm having you on during the week, it's like, hey, I messed up, or I need to get you on.
Yeah.
Like I know Jacob and Jack are getting ready to come on right before we go on our bachelor trip. We got 14 dudes flying down
Jesus.
to Fort Lauderdale for my bachelor trip and Jack's bachelor trip. So shout out to Jack. But those guys are coming on Thursday, and then Friday I'm shooting another one too.
Mhm.
And I just wanted to get them on before we go down on the bachelor trip because it'll be funny to like kind of pair it up. And
Yeah.
I'll probably bring them back on, or we're gonna be doing stuff down there with the mini mics and stuff. Kind of terrorizing Fort Lauderdale.
The
so look
back-to-back
out.
recordings are fun because like I said, I have another one tomorrow. So
Really?
like it's just like I don't even have to clean any of this up because
Yeah.
that's for me. Like I take all of this stuff down, put it
Oh,
away.
really?
Yeah, because this is still like a hangout spot for us too. Like if people come over, like we'll come down here, watch TV or watch the game. Or
Oh,
whatever.
wow.
And I just like kind of going full circle back to what you were talking about, like doing things at your own house.
Mhm.
Last summer, I put in a patio right outside, like a walkout patio right there.
Yeah.
So like, and that's the same thing. Like it's just really, I spend so much time out there. Like as soon as it's nice, like I'm out there
Yeah,
because it's like I built that. Like I did that.
It's
Oh,
cool,
yeah.
dude. It's so sweet. Like, before coming into my wife's life and stuff, she had so many projects, and it is an older farmhouse, and I just remodel homes for a living, so
Mhm.
I love building, I love doing that, but it is cool. Like I built an outdoor kitchen,
Mhm.
Kind of like same thing with that, but like got a Blackstone out there and
Mhm.
stuff. But it's cool just to take a step back and be like, wow, I built that. Like
Yeah.
that's fucking. It's cool. You can actually use it. It's not gonna break.
Yeah,
Like
that's
it's
the
like,
crappy
damn.
thing because like we do patios and pools at work, so like we'll put in this freaking sweet ass job, and then I'm like, yeah, but
Man,
I never
couldn't
get to
even-
use this.
Yeah, yeah, it's gonna suck. It's kind of the same thing. Well, I mean, I bet, you putting in pools and stuff like that. I mean, you're at that house for a while. They're
Yeah,
probably like, I
well-
bet a lot of customers, because it's the same thing with me. They'll be like, you should come back and like, you guys can use the pool.
we've had a couple that have
Yeah.
been like, you guys can come over for the pool party, and we're like, I am not.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
I'm good.
I know you for a week. Like, I don't
That's
know if I
not
can
like
come
if
over
we're
here in my
just doing-
swimmies and freaking jump
Yeah,
in the
exactly.
pool.
Like I don't really care. I don't really want to come over here in swim trunks and that's
Yeah.
it. And just-
Yeah. She's like, what's up? Yeah, I built this pool. Yeah, man. It's freaking sweet. And then you build the pool and they're like, actually, since you're here, can you fix it?
yeah, this is
I was like,
broken.
oh, man,
Like,
I was going
how do we use this?
Yeah.
We already went through this the day we left. Because that's one of the big things. Is like people, we put in a lot of high dollar jobs.
Yeah.
and like I mean, some of these,
my father-in-law's got an in-ground pool. I know all about it, dude.
it's
it's
getting
intense.
crazy.
Yeah.
But I mean, we've put in $150,000-$200,000 jobs,
Mhm.
but like we've had people that will put them in, and it's like, then they're like, well, how do we use any of it? And we're like,
Well, I'm not gonna lie, the plumbing, like you guys put in the plumbing and stuff too.
Oh, yeah.
So that
but like all of
low-key,
our
it is
stuff,
nuts.
most of our stuff, pretty much 100% of our jobs, pretty much, you can do your pool from your phone.
Yeah, that's
We have
just
automated
technology
ones.
speeding up and stuff. But I'm not gonna lie, you get all those pool filters, the chemicals, the salts, and stuff like that. It is a little intimidating. You're like, oh my god.
But like those are the ones we get callbacks from. The ones we never get callbacks from are the ones that are like, yeah, we just did a little research. Got like
Yeah,
the one lady that we're just finishing up a patio for. She's like, I ordered a book on Amazon, and like, do you think it's overkill? And my boss is like, no, like
yeah.
you didn't necessarily need to get a book, but guess
Yeah.
what? You're never gonna have to call us wondering how to do
Exactly.
something because
Dude,
you did your research.
bro, I build bathrooms for a living, bathrooms and kitchens and shit. And I mean, some of the clients that we have, like, yeah, they're high end jobs. We
Mhm.
got kitchens going out there $100,000, and then our typical bathrooms 20 to 30
Mm-hmm.
grand. And we'll bring these customers in, and a lot of times I've found that people that have money, they don't care. Their time is more important. So a lot of times they'll just throw money at it instead of actually, going out and buying that
Yeah.
book, doing the research. But then you'll have the freaking complete opposite, which sometimes that irritates you. Where like, actually, I know how to do that. Actually, like,
We also have that.
I read a book. Watch out, and it's like, bro, I'm telling you, you read a book.
You'll be
Like,
calling me.
sometimes-
You'll be calling me in about two days when you can't
Yeah,
figure
go
out.
ahead and read a book and try and slice through a water line and see what you're gonna do. Then it's like, oh my god. I mean, I've seen one of my buddies. Shout out Paul. He's an older dude, and we always typically you're supposed to shut down the water before tearing out anything, and it's just in case what happened to him. We're cutting out a one-piece tub system, and CPVC, bam, Sawzall hits that line, dude. And I'm telling you, if you've never seen water in your house, these water lines running through any building or anything, you slice into it, it's not stopping till you get either the one outside or hopefully you know where the water shut off is in your
Yeah.
house. Because I can't tell you how many times I go into someone's house and they're like, where's the water shut off? And it's like, bro, listen, I'm going to take you down here and show you this because if God forbid anything ever happened,
Yeah.
you need to know that because your house is gone, dude. The water does
like,
not stop.
I know that one's there, and then I also know where the one is at the street.
Yeah.
Not that
Yeah, just in case.
I can turn it off.
Yeah,
but-
seriously. They don't sell the like,
Yeah.
what? Are you kidding me? Like, they're like, city shut my water down. And you're just like, wow, man, there's a $20 tool at Home Depot where you could just go turn it back on. Don't do that, but
no, don't do it.
yeah, just
but-
pay your bill. Seriously. But cool, like, I'm not gonna lie, like blue collar. I'm a huge proponent of blue collar
Mhm.
work. Like I said, I didn't go to college and stuff, but it is cool getting to work with your hands.
Yes.
Just taking a step back and being like, wow, I built that.
I feel like every like teenager to early 20s, you need to work some type of manual labor job.
I would say so. That or I'm not gonna lie, fast food will do
I
you
never
in a
did
little bit.
that.
Oh, dude, Wendy's flipping them burgers. I was the fastest freaking burger maker out there. But I'm not gonna lie, you're in the trenches, dude.
Mhm.
You're making minimum wage. You got grease everywhere. That clock is legit crawling.
Yeah.
But yeah, I went from that to Lowe's to building cabinets to being at a company for 7 years now, where I'm like a foreman or a lead. And
hmm
I'm pretty young. I'm only 25,
Yeah.
and like you'll go into a house, and it kind of, like I said, there's no video, but if you want to check it out over on the BFE podcast, you can see what I look like. But I do have a beard, and like we do have a couple other guys that are a lot younger that have stepped into a bigger role. And they'll come up and we'll get call-ins being like, hey, I don't want this guy out here because he looks too young. And a lot of people don't know my age, but with my beard and stuff, I look like I'm like 30 or 40. And it's like, oh my God. But
I just trimmed my beard the other day, and Sierra's like, "You look younger." I'm like,
oh, dude.
No, that's not
Listen,
the point.
If I took off, my wife would kill me. She likes the beard and
That's the
stuff.
thing. She's like, you don't have to take it off. Just keep it trimmed, because
Well,
it gets crazy
you-
once I let it go.
You still got hair. I'm losing it up top. So
Yeah. I have the hairline. It
Yeah.
goes back.
Yeah.
I just try not to look at
It's rough, dude. So I'm the type of dude. I'm trying to grow out my beard, maybe. And again, I had a little baby girl, so I'm gonna have to be there for her. So I'm freaking in the gym, hitting the weights. I got the tattoos. I'm hoping to look like that mean bald dude with the beard that looks like he just came out of a military movie or something. But I don't know. I mean, it is. I don't know. Kind of bringing it full circle. It is like a weird world or time that we live in. There's so many. I feel like we're like playing chess. If
Yeah.
to like sum it all up, it's like you're playing chess. Hopefully, you make the right moves, and even if you don't, you can always like redo it. There's so much you can learn. Like all your mistakes and stuff, those are just learning moments. And
Yes.
hopefully, you just pick yourself up and just keep moving forward. And
I've
Yeah.
said it so many times on this podcast, and I will never stop saying it, because every time it gets brought up, I think it's very important to, because even like we go through it, but basically you learn more from your failures than you ever will your successes.
yeah,
You learn more from
what?
those 100%. And even those times where, like, we may be 25 or we may be 40 when we're saying it, but it also, like, we go through those times where, like, man, I just don't get why this is going wrong. But then you got to remember, like, I'm learning something. here.
Exactly,
I'm learning like something.
But I feel like that comes with age.
Yes.
That comes with age, because you try and tell an 18-year-old that, where he just got out of his house, like he can, you know what? If I want to eat Pop-Tarts tonight, I'm eating fucking Pop-Tarts tonight for dinner, Mom. Like, you got to get out of that stage
Yeah.
where, hey, this is the real world now. Yeah, if you want to go do that, go do that. But you also got to understand that sometimes life's going to hit you hard in the freaking face, and you also have to keep that same energy and be like, you know what? This is just life.
Yeah.
I have to pick myself up from my bootstraps and keep moving forward, because if not, life will just pass you by. Dude.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and again, we kind of already brought it up where it's like you're on this rock for a very short time. Like, you think it's forever, but it's so not. I can't tell you how many people, like, I'll get a phone call nowadays. We're starting to get to the age where someone's like, yeah, they passed away, and you're like,
What?
You're like,
Yeah.
excuse me? I
Mhm.
just saw that dude at High Heads or
Yeah.
something the other day. Oh man,
Yeah,
it's
it's
crazy.
crazy. Yeah.
Have you like? I
Well,
don't
yeah,
know, not
we're
to bring it
literally-
down or
we
anything.
are at that age where people are moving in their own houses. People are
Exactly.
getting married. People are having kids. People are dying. Like, that's
Yeah.
not as often, thank
Yeah,
God.
yeah.
But like, we have everybody's like moving and different,
Oh, yeah,
and it's
dude. Our entire freaking friend group's all popping out babies
Yeah, I
left and
know.
right. Like, I got a freaking group chat right here, 22 people deep, and I'd probably say we have 7 babies now, including mine.
Damn.
Six or 7.
and
That's
how many are
nuts.
married too?
I'd say at least a handful of them
Yeah.
now. And then you definitely got your stragglers, or they're in a relationship or something. Like you said, they're starting to get houses. They're
Yes.
starting to elevate and move up in society. And again, kind of bringing it full circle. It's like, don't be jealous of those
Nope.
people. Look at them and like walk up to them and like be like, hey man, how did you get that razor?
Yes.
How do you have this boat? Or even kind of bring it into the gym and stuff. I know you're a pretty fit dude. You see some dude that's just yoked, and you're like, you could hate on him, or you could be like, hey, what do you do? Like, how are you hitting your protein goals, or how are you what lifts are you doing? What's your splits? Like, you know what I mean? Instead of being like bitter and like jealous, why don't you try and flip it and be like, hey, what can I learn from
Yeah.
this person?
And like, that's the biggest thing is just learn from everybody. Like,
Yeah.
learn
Just be able to
whether they're
sponge.
not good at life and
Yeah.
like just
Yeah.
really bad.
Yeah, look at that.
Look
person
at what
and be
they're doing and be like, don't do meth.
don't.
That's not something I want to try because I don't want to look like that.
Does have that boat, does have that
Mhm.
razor, did start a business. Why don't you go up to him and be like, hey, man, I'd love to, maybe we can go grab a beer.
Yep.
I'll get you a couple beers. I'd love to just sit down, pick your brain. And the cool thing about podcasting is that's what you get to do.
Oh, yeah.
If you start a podcast or you're sitting down, you're running your own podcast, you have the say of who's coming on. And that's your opportunity or chance to reach out to that person and be like, hey, listen, I know I've watched you from, not like the shadows, not trying to be like a creeper, but I've watched you from afar. I see what you're doing. I like the moves you're making. I'd love to pick your brain and sit down and come on. And I've had awesome opportunities. Like one of the ones that I can think of right off the top of my head is Jacob Justice.
Mhm.
I think he was the second episode to drop.
I believe so.
And it was just cool to sit down and pick his brain because he is that guy I do look up to. If you want to go check out that episode, you'll understand why. But this dude married my best friend. I have a matching tattoo with her. I was in her wedding. She's a sweetheart. She's actually in my wedding too. But he still gets car doors for her. I'm not gonna lie, I'll get the door for you. I ain't getting the car door for you, but he's that type of guy, and he also runs a very successful construction company. So shout out him. If you have any needs or anything, hit him up, Jacob Justice. But also not that he does got that boat. He does got the razor. He does got all these things, and it's like, hey, I'd love to pick your brain, learn a little bit about that. So wrap that up. I'll zip him up here soon. But shout out Jacob.
Yeah. Those are definitely the people that you gotta look
you
at.
surround yourself by. You also need to surround yourself with good people.
Yes.
Like, and sometimes you do need that person in your life that be like, hey, that guy maybe isn't the best for you. Like, and again, you're gonna fight it, but at the end of the day, it's someone coming outside of the circle telling you that they see things you don't see. It's just like that chick that maybe you never saw the red flags and everyone's like, bro, this look at this. Like,
well, and like those, I've had people in my life that I've been around that, I was friends with, and then maybe they went down a path that I'm just like, that's not
where you want to be
when I want to go. But then they pull their head out of their ass. And it's like, and I've told them, like, listen, I don't want you to think I'm only here like when things are good for you or whatever. That, like, you were going down a path. I tried to tell you, like, I didn't think this was a good path. You didn't want to listen, so like, you know what? I'm not gonna fight you on it. Like, if
at the end of the day, you're
not gonna be able to,
grown-ass man or grown-ass
you're not gonna be able to convince people. Not like you can do your part, but there comes a point where you're just like, this isn't worth my time because I'm wasting my time.
Oh, 100%. So and your time's important. Like you said, you got work, you got this to run, you got a family, you got stuff you got to do. So if you're taking your time out of your day to acknowledge that person or try and be there for that person, one day that person will wake up and understand that you were coming from a good place. It wasn't like I'm just sitting here trying to hate on you. It's like I'm just trying to look out for you, dude.
Exactly.
Like maybe you've already been in those shoes, and you're like, hey, I've already done this.
Yes.
If I could take it back, this is what I would have done. And again, you're going to be a strong, independent woman or strong, independent man. You're going to make your own decisions. There's been several times in my life, I've told them on the podcast stories of like my buddies where I thought they should do this. They zigzagged and went a different way, and maybe it was good, maybe it wasn't. And that's just, again, it's a chess match.
It really is.
Freaking life is just wild, and hopefully you can grab the horns and
exactly
bring her on home.
What's up, everybody? I hope you're enjoying today's guest. A lot of people ask me how they can support the Roughnecks Podcast. So I wanted to take a quick break to tell you the best way to support the podcast is to buy and wear merch. We have merch available on our website, from hats, t-shirts, long sleeves, sweatshirts, and even coffee cups. There are even youth sizes available for the kids. Head over to roughneckspodcast.com and make your purchase today. Thank you for all the support, but let's get back to today's guest. But I want to kind of go back into the podcasting side of things. What would you say was the hardest part about starting up your podcast?
The technology side, easily.
Yeah.
The gift of gab came natural to me.
Yeah.
So it wasn't, and honestly, getting behind a camera and talking into a mic, low key came natural to me as well. But
was it a little strange at first?
I'm not gonna lie, no, because my podcast, you do get a couple beers in you. You kind of let loose a little bit. It takes the edge off. But also, I would just say, yeah, technology. Like, I was not a tech savvy guy. Every relationship I've ever been in, the woman was typically, she'd be like, babe, your spell check, or spell this, or like, or hey, I show you how to do this online. Like, I was just never good at that. And shout out to wifey, like she holds it down, locks it down for me, and sometimes she'll correct me on spelling, or she'll be like, hey babe, I know how to do this, like let me do this for you. And I greatly appreciate that. And she watches the kids and baby and stuff like that. So shout out to wifey. But I would definitely say technology for me. Like getting all the cords right, making sure you're plugging stuff in, making sure the mics are good.
So that part came easier to me. That was the easy part. Yeah, because I don't know, I've always liked laptops and like all that, like just the technology side of things.
Yeah.
Because I originally, when I went into Ohio Wesleyan, my original major was actually computer science.
Oh, really?
Found out that coding is super freaking hard.
Really?
And was like, yeah, my first computer science class, I got a C+. The second one, I got a D+.
Oh, no.
It might be time to give this up.
Yeah.
Like, we're only in my freshman year. This isn't good. I'm not picking it up. So, like, I ended up switching to marketing. Well, I actually switched to data analytics. Then I switched to business marketing and minored in data analytics. But
that's what I feel like you would love if you would love like YouTube, because it shows you, breaks down like everything. Like,
I've tried, like I said, I've done, I don't remember how, I think I put like 15 episodes out on YouTube.
Yeah.
Like, but what I ran into was the biggest thing was the time of editing audio and video and uploading it everywhere that I needed it to.
What editing app are you using?
What was I using for video?
I guess for video, yeah.
I was using a cheap free one. I think I still have it. I use it to make some clips. I think it's called Clipmate or something like that.
So I paid $30. It was one lump sum for the app called LumaFusion. And that's one of the reasons why I film on an iPhone, and I also have a MacBook. So I can airdrop stuff, which is game-changing.
I'm not a big Apple guy. Like, I have an iPhone, but like my laptops, I don't like Macs.
Yeah.
I'm more of a Windows person, and I've always been that way.
It was weird for me and my wife to learn the Mac setting, but once you do, it's actually pretty cool. And again, it's just, you can airdrop stuff. It runs smoother when you have everything in the same family, I guess. So that definitely did help a little bit. But yeah, I mean, slowly you're starting to see like it growing. Like now I'm throwing stuff up on the TV. Now I'm able to do this kind of stuff. But that platform, LumaFusion, you can just 2 clicks, you can pull the audio and then you can upload that somewhere. You can split it and just do the video and put that somewhere. Yeah. So I feel like the editing app that maybe you were using it definitely
sucked.
Oh, dude, it was this terrible. Is coming from a guy that didn't know dog shit about any of it. And I'm freaking trying to upload my first video. It didn't pop up. Mm-hmm. I have people waiting, like I was promoting it, like, and then it finally posted, and then that's where the traction started picking up and stuff. But yeah, that was probably putting out my first episode, and then putting out like learning the tech side behind it is probably the hardest thing to get into. But other than that, not gonna lie, it's a blast. Yeah. It's super.
It really is. It's just. Like, and for me, like, I bring a lot of, like, I've had, I don't remember, probably over 100 different people on here.
Yeah.
And most of them I probably know, but a lot of them, like, some of them I've never met in my entire life. My only conversation was through social media with them, or through email or whatever. And then, like, the episode that actually just dropped this week with Nick Lavery, he wrote a book, was a military guy, lost his leg, ended up going back to combat.
After he lost his leg?
He was the first guy to ever do it.
I was about to say.
Above the knee amputee. He's freaking.
What a stud.
Oh, dude,
that's called Murica, people.
He is insane.
That's a stud.
But, like, just like him, like, he didn't even know my name when we hopped on to recording.
Oh,
because he just started delegating, kind of like we've talked about, delegating things to, like, he started a business through what he's done.
Yeah.
And delegating that to other people, and they vetted me and approved it, and then he hopped on and was like, And just like in like 5 minutes, I gave him like a whole rundown of everything, who I am, what I do, like what the podcast is.
Yeah.
And then we talked for like an hour and a
Yeah.
half. But like, it's just meeting these people. Like without the podcast, I probably wouldn't ever
No,
have the
100%.
opportunity to meet these people.
Exactly. Unless you bump into them at Chipotle or something and
Well,
you
yeah.
end up having a conversation. Like, there's no other way to actually reach those type of people. Yeah. Dude, that's wild.
He's a freaking hot. He's like 6'7" or 6'6"
No.
or something. He's
So-
giant.
Okay. So I don't know if I will ever, I mean, it'll probably be a rare occasion for me to actually Zoom someone in or Skype someone in.
Mhm.
Now that might be completely false because I know Dan is going to be doing that, but that's Kegstand Sports. Like I said, those are going to be dropping here soon, so go check them out. But yeah, I don't. How is it like over Zoom? I feel like it's harder to connect.
It is. That's why I like doing the in-person ones. But obviously, like he was in, I don't remember, Texas maybe or
Mhm.
somewhere that I can't just.
Yeah. But to be fair, like you were still able to get access to that dude, which is
Yes.
pretty wicked. So shout out technology for that. That's pretty wicked.
But I will say, like now that I've obviously 150 episodes in, what's helped is I've learned how to communicate better through that, like through virtual. And you start to like at the beginning of the episode, they're kind of slow,
Oh yeah, I bet.
and then
That's
like
every podcast.
yeah.
Dude, you'll sit down with someone that's never done because that's what's happened to me a lot. A lot of my friends
Do you
are
have a
bringing
lot of
on.
lists where they talk like this?
Yes, and then you got to bring them in. You're like, hey, get in on that mic.
Can you hear yourself on yours?
Okay, so I'm different. You've known me for a long time. I'm a loud dude. Like I could probably be chilling all the way back here on this
Yes.
couch, and you're probably still gonna pick me up. But honestly, we do have two different mic setups. Those condenser mics, they do pick up on like it's a cleaner audio, I guess.
Yes.
But I've noticed like this one, you can kind of get back a little bit.
Yeah.
But those condenser ones, they really like you're wanting to get in on that mic.
Yeah, well, it's like a lot of times I'll talk like this, but like when I'm at like doing these, like I kind of sit back a
Yeah,
little bit
yeah.
and just chill.
Well, that's a cool
But
thing
also like play with your buttons on your soundboard too, because there's like a denoise
yeah, I
button or
have
something.
it. That's the one I
And, like,
clicked. Yeah.
That I think it gets rid of the outside noise.
Yeah.
So like you can't hear me doing that. Well, you
Mhm.
might be able to, but I can't ever tell if it's in my
Yeah.
headphones or if I'm
That's what's
actually
so
hearing.
weird, 'cause, like, clicking it in with these headphones and stuff, you'll hear it so well, and then you'll start editing, and you're like, oh my god,
Yep.
and then you got to bump up their
Yes.
freaking audio, and then you start getting into where it's like, oh, it's super pitchy. It's like that's where like the audio and stuff, where maybe 100 episodes in, I'll be able to understand that a
Mhm.
little better, but right now, like I'm still kind of learning.
Yeah, you.
Editing
What's
and
weird
stuff
is
like that.
like you'll pick up on it. Like what I struggle with, like I'm listening to it on my headphones, editing it, and I'm like, it sounds quiet. So like I'll bump it up,
Yeah.
but then I'll upload it, and I always preview it before I just play it.
Oh,
put it
really?
down. Yeah. Well, like I don't listen to the whole thing. I just kind of listen to like spots, and it's like deathly loud, and I'm like,
Yeah.
what in the world? So like
Yeah.
I had to go back and just decrease. I can just decrease the noise on all of it in like 5 seconds.
See,
So
So like the process of me getting this crap to YouTube is kind of a lot. So
Yeah.
I'll take it from LumaFusion, and I could upload it straight from LumaFusion there, but I tried it once and it didn't do it. So I'm panicked. So what I'm gonna do is I'll probably shoot out like a smaller episode, maybe one of the clips or something like that, and see if it actually uploads correctly from LumaFusion, because that would take out a lot of hassle. So I'll go from LumaFusion to iMovie to an export downloaded into my actual MacBook. Then I jump on YouTube, go to the BFE podcast, and I can upload it from there, and that's how it goes in. Because I'm
Huh.
not gonna lie, the platform of the platform of uploading it from my downloads to YouTube is actually super nice,
yeah.
because you can go in and you can add a ton of stuff. YouTube's pretty wicked when it
Yes.
comes to like everything you can add, promos like this,
Oh, yeah.
that, and the other. So it is nice to see that, but I do have to jump through 3 hoops to get it there. And then, like you said, you preview the video. I don't preview. Like I preview, of course, editing everything,
Yes.
like the final cut. But come to find out, this last episode I just dropped on Monday, freaking it cut the last 10 minutes. And I'm
Mm.
not gonna lie, I got super lucky because the freaking cut where like it cut it off was on like a crazy
spot.
crazy cliffhanger. Like, so people were like,
Damn.
"Oh my god!" Like, I had buddies hit me up like, "Bro, what happened?" And I was just like, "Dude, what do you mean?" So I go back into this video, and it cut the last 10 minutes where we were just. It ended on like me talking about my puppy that passed away, and then going into this like little beer challenge, trying to pick out if I could tell a Busch Light in a can from a bottle, which I did, but it didn't see if I actually did. So it was a pretty cool cliffhanger, but I didn't get to wrap up the podcast trying to be like, hey, subscribe.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much for coming on. Any last words? Kind of stuff like that. But
yeah,
you'll have that.
You will, unfortunately. Like, I mean, I've had to re-record episodes, like we talked about, for not plugging mics in and just little things. You have these little things that, especially when you're doing pretty much all of that side of things yourself, you think you're good because you've done it already a bunch of times. You're like, oh, I'm good. And then all of a sudden it's like, wait, what is wrong? Like,
yeah.
I used to, like, when I was in college, when I first started this, I would, like, as soon as the episode came out, I'd be clicking on it, like, listening to it.
Yeah, to make sure it's okay.
Just to make sure everything was good.
Dude, I freaking, like, my audios, it's good, but, like, when I have to bump up other people because they're not getting into the mic, like, then my voice sounds distorted because, again, not saying I'm a veteran, but I've ran a couple episodes, so I know you have to be in on that mic.
Yes.
So when people like start getting comfortable and stuff like that, yeah, we do have these cool arms that will follow you or like move with you, but a lot of people don't know that.
And
And
then, like,
also,
we know if we back up, we have to maybe talk a little bit louder, but not a ton. And like, you just understand how the microphone works because you've been doing it so long. It is one of the things, like, I've had people that talk literally like
all the way over there.
Well, like, and they've even been up and talking like this, and I'm like, can you talk a little louder?
that's where
like, if you don't want to be
baby bird that mic, get in
you try
there.
not to be an asshole about it, but you're also at the same time like, this whole episode is going to go to
Based
shit
on you.
if you don't talk loud.
Well, and then that's also like, so how you're supposed to actually talking to, at least the mics I have, you're supposed to talk into the side of it.
Yes.
So the logo is supposed to be facing the person, and that's the best audio. So exactly. So, but people like seeing the movies, seeing like normal stuff, they'll make this thing. Yes, they'll point it at
They think
themselves.
they should talk like this.
Yes,
it's like it
but
doesn't sound the same.
Exactly, it's not the best audio. So a lot of times before the guests come on, because I like how you did it. Like you sent me over the script, this, that, and the other. Like for mine, I'll get their drink order, whatever they're wanting. If they typically, I won't have food there, but if they're like, hey, I'd like something to eat.
Yeah.
I'll get that for them. I'll have I smoke like cigars and stuff on the podcast and stuff. So I'll have all that lined up. And then again, I won't let them know what we're going to be talking about till we get there. And the only reason I do that is I'll vet them. Like I'll be like, here's these 10 topics. Do you like them? And a lot of times, yeah. But if there's one they're like, hey, I don't want to talk about that, then I'll exit out.
Yeah.
And then that's where it's just like, I want them to like, whatever comes to their brain first is probably the best.
Yes.
Instead of sitting back being like getting nervous, like, oh, he's going to talk about this. And it's like, no, I just want your true, honest thoughts. And then again, get it on the side of the mic. But I'll set it up for them typically before they get into the chair, like where it's like set up sideways. So, but again, a lot of them will be like rip it down. And I'm like, hey, like you don't have to do that. But
I always usually tell people, like with you, I didn't have to figure I'd have to worry about it, but I usually tell people like you can hear yourself in your headphones. You hear what you sound like. So like if it sounds far away from you, like it's what you hear is what it's going to sound like on my recording, probably minus a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
So you like that's what I always try to tell people, and they're like, "Do I sound good?" And I'm like, "What do you think?" And they're like, I feel like I'm a little quiet. I'm like, then get closer to the microphone. Like that's all it is.
I'm not gonna lie. I don't have a problem. Like if someone freaking is like really getting away from the mic and stuff, I'll be like, hey, I want people to get to know the real blah blah blah. So get it on that mic and let's get this show rolling.
Exactly.
But yeah, that's
BFE Podcast. Find it on YouTube.
Yep. The BFE Podcast. We're also, like I said, hopefully here soon, getting ready to get out on Apple, Spotify, all that. I know I keep saying it, but I've been grinding in the background trying to get like the best product out to you guys at all possible. So yeah, if you guys want to like, subscribe, on YouTube only right now at the BFE Podcast. We also got Instagram at the BFE Podcast, and then TikTok, Twitter, and Snapchat is the BFE Boys or the BFE Boys. Go check us out. Like, subscribe. Thank you so much, Cole, for having me on.
Oh, we're not done. We got a couple more things.
Oh no, okay.
I will have all the episode or the links to all of that in the episode description.
Awesome.
But I do have a couple more questions for you, and I have a question that I like to ask all of my guests, and it is: if you could go back in time and tell your 16-year-old self one thing, what would it be?
I would say take no, I don't know. Life, take your time. I know it seems like life is crawling by, but you're going to achieve things at your own pace. And again, don't be jealous of people that have more than you right now or are well off. Look to those people as mentors, and just keep grinding, keep your head down, stay healthy, be there for your friends and family. And that, I guess that's, yeah, I'd probably say something like that. I don't think I would change anything like in my life or anything. I did have a pretty rough childhood, but other than that, like that rough childhood built me into the man I am today. And shout out like my parents and stuff for making me into the man I am today, and everyone in my life that may be into who I am. So
yeah, take your time, because life does, like when we're 16, it feels like it's crawling. But like we've already talked about, it turns into a sprint real quick.
Oh, 100%.
And you wish you were crawling. You want to be crawling, but you are sprinting. So don't try and sprint too early. Enjoy the little things. Enjoy life when you're 16. Enjoy the football locker room and that kind of stuff. Because like I still look back at those times and it's like, man, like even like losing to freaking Lakewood, like I still remember
that. I got an interception that game. I slipped and fell in the mud, and this ball just landed on my lap. I was like,
I will never forget them lining the ball up though, like halfway between the hash and the side,
because it was so muddy.
My mom,
you couldn't tell any. Yeah,
mom couldn't tell me and Cameron Johnson apart. She was like, I couldn't tell who was who because you guys line up in similar areas, just on opposite sides of the field. And they're like, she's like, I didn't know who.
They have turf now. Pretty much everyone's got turf.
Yeah, I don't think
besides freaking Licking Heights.
They still don't have turf.
I don't think so. They'll build like 1,000 schools. Their schools are awesome, but freaking their turf football field ain't anywhere to be found.
Well, they lost their coach.
Oh yeah, that's wild, dude.
I couldn't believe it. I was like, I didn't envision us doing that or him even coming here.
Yeah,
but
I mean,
they did well last year, I guess.
Yeah, I feel like they definitely are. I don't think anyone's beaten like the 9-2 season, right? Did they go any better than that?
I don't think
that was my junior year and then senior year. So you would have been a sophomore.
Yeah, we struggle. Yeah, junior year or my sophomore year was the year we went to playoffs and everything. And then my senior year was a wash.
Well, I mean, you lost like 16 starters. Like you guys had to.
And then I only played half the season because I broke my elbow.
Oh, the
second game of the year.
Dude, that's tragic.
And then I thought I broke my elbow my senior year of college, my other elbow, the senior year of college. Luckily, I just hyperextended it. But it was like, I came off the sideline. I was like, I just broke. Like it literally is everything that happened was the exact same way that I broke my other arm. Like, but luckily I didn't break it. But I only got to play like 3 games my senior year of college because of COVID. It was the COVID year, so that was, and it was in the spring. It wasn't even in the fall. We played in the spring.
I'd probably like that better. Right?
It was,
dude. Sometimes it gets cold out there on that football field.
Yeah, but guess what camp turned into? All of fall, pretty much. So, like we had practice like every day in the fall.
Really?
Like Monday through Friday. A lot of times it was Monday through Thursday, and we just lift on Fridays. But like, I mean, we just do it all freaking fall and then go into spring.
Kind of bringing it full circle. I mean, the biggest thing Coach Sav, shout out Coach Sav, would preach is like, hey, seniors, like, this is it, dude. You're always going to look back on this moment. So if you weren't trying your best at play, I was fortunate. I did get to start 3 years on varsity, but I still look back and I'm like, I would go back in a heartbeat. Easily, dude. It's so fun.
Sometimes I never understood like why the seniors were so like let's go, like you don't take shit easy, let's fucking go. And then like I get to my senior year and I'm like, I get it. Like this is 100%. It. Like it's about the end for me.
Yeah,
I want this to be the best.
And then some people are like, no, dude, I'm here to win. Like it's a good time.
Yeah, and then awesome. When I went to college, it just went up a whole.
I bet
it was crazy.
That's one thing. If I did get to college, I definitely would have gone.
That's
either that or I probably would have joined a fraternity or something. Frat house.
I almost did it.
That would have been lit.
We had a frat house that was. It wasn't just football players, but a lot of the football. We had 2 that a lot of the football players were in. I didn't end up doing it because I was like, because then there was always the beef between the frat houses. So like this football frat wouldn't go hang out at that football frat, like wouldn't. And I'm like, I just want to be able to go to whatever
Yeah,
house
be
I
like,
want.
dude, are we arguing? Let's get all this drama out of here, dude.
But yeah, but this moves us into the best segment of the podcast, which is Motivation Monday. Motivation Monday is the point in the episode where I allow the guests to give the Roughnecks listeners a little inspirational bump to set the tone for their week as they listen on Monday morning. So what do you got?
Dude, I'm
Motivation
not gonna
Monday?
lie. I don't know if I'm an inspirational guy, but
Everybody
I-
says that. A lot
I
of people
will
say that.
I will say, definitely, you got to hit the ground running. Anything that you are passionate about, and try and sit down and think about it. Like I said before, like I a lot of people will tell you honestly what you are good at or what you're passionate about, and just open up and listen. Like people kept telling me, freaking, you could talk to a tree. So I started the podcast, freaking start learning from everyone else, like have some cool mentors, but just keep grinding. If you run into a wall, eventually you are going to bust through that thing. There's a bunch of hurdles in life that you're eventually going to have to jump over or get through, but that's where you do lean on your friends and family. You could be grinding in the gym. You have hurdles in the gym, making sure you're healthy, staying fit for your family, to be there for them. I would say, yeah, just keep grinding. Maybe start a couple side hustles. If you're not into podcasting, there's plenty of things on the internet or YouTube that could teach you how to do something to have a little extra money coming in. But other than that, no, just keep grinding, keep your head down. Life is definitely difficult, but there are people in your life that you can lean on and be there for your friends and family. Try and stay positive. And I guess to wrap it up, don't be afraid to shoot your shot.
Mm-hmm.
You only live on this planet once. YOLO's a real thing. So yeah, I would say Motivation Monday. Just keep grinding, shoot your shot, and be there for your individuals that you do love and care for. Definitely.
Man, I think that's a perfect way to wrap up this episode with that. I mean, that was all great stuff. You know, I mean, it's true. Like YOLO is a real thing. Like there's a lot of cliche sayings that come out during Motivation Monday, but I'm like, I like it. Like, I want you guys to keep doing the cliche sayings because we have to keep hearing it.
Exactly that, and you'll really notice it when you do have kids, how fragile life is and how unique and special life is. So
It really is.
shout out to all the dads out there and the moms. Yeah, thank you, Cole, so much for having me on the Roughnecks podcast. I can't wait to listen to this episode. Yeah, it was cool. It was awesome.
Well, how was it being on the other side of the mic, not having to be the host?
It was pretty cool. I was definitely. I don't think I was too nervous coming in because you're a cool dude. I knew we were gonna hit it off. I'm also the type of dude that like I could seen you in 5 years and I could pick it up from like when we were first met each other. But I don't know. It was a unique opportunity, and I'm so grateful to have you on. For me to shout out my brand and the podcast and stuff. Like I said, if you guys want to follow along on that journey, just like, subscribe, and we'll see where the BFE Boys end up. But yeah, it was awesome. Thank you so much for having me.
Definitely check out the BFE Boys. But that's all we got for today's episode of the Roughnecks Podcast. Until Friday, you guys know the deal. Life is hard, and it's going to knock you down just like a bull does to a bull rider. Don't let that bull of life walk all over you. Get up, grab the bull by the horns, and take control of your life. Roughnecks, out. Thank you guys for tuning in to today's episode of the Roughnecks Podcast. If you liked today's episode, then please be sure to share it with a friend. You can follow the Roughnecks Podcast on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at Roughnecks Podcast. Head over to roughneckspodcast.com and grab yourself some Roughnecks merch. Until next time, make sure you grab the bull by the horns and take control of your life. Roughnecks, out.